Dan Larson here at the Photobooth with a bunch of mail, except before we get to that real quick, I just want to talk about these two McFarlane figures. This is a Fortnite action figure. This guy's called Hybrid. He just came out like 2 weeks ago or something based on this video. And I've got him here to say that McFarlane has absolutely turned around my view of their action figures. Years and years ago, they were just static statues, not very poseable at all. Great detail, great paint, although they could get a little sloppy sometimes. But in general, awesome stuff, just not very poseable. So, based on their licenses and stuff, I moved away from them. They got Halo, they got other stuff. But I wasn't seeing the articulation, the licenses I wasn't interested in. So when they got to Fortnite, it was like, oh my gosh, look at all these interesting action figures. I don't care about the game, but I do love all the crazy designs they're coming out with. And the articulation and the sturdiness of the sculpt really seems to be there. I haven't had any problems with any of the figures. Maybe a little bit of looseness here and there, but that happens with everything. So for now, as far as the Fortnite stuff is concerned, I am totally down with what McFarlane is doing. So that said, I picked up this figure the other day. This is a McFarlane figure from the video game Destiny. This guy's name is Hunter. I don't know anything about the game, just like I don't know anything really about that much about Fortnite. I don't play either one of them. But I picked this guy up because some of you folks have been very nice and have sent in a couple of other Destiny figures, and they've got some really cool designs, and that's why I got into the Fortnite line. Cool action figures. I don't care. I'm not really, I'm not worried about like, oh, I got to have an interest in the mythology. It doesn't matter. Cool figures are cool figures. So I saw this guy and I was like, hey, I don't really get that inspired to do customs very often, but this one really just something clicked, and I was like, yeah, I got to make that guy into a custom. All the elements are there. I know what I want to do. So I was like, hey, maybe those figures were as good as the Fortnite ones. And so I bought it, and I moved his leg, and and if you follow me on Instagram at toygalaxy, I did post a picture of this the other day because I was absolutely dumbfounded. I could not believe how tiny this peg was that was holding this thing together. Like I think it's smaller than the peg in the knee here. It's comical how small that is, and that was what was holding it. And like this belt thing is so hard, and that's why it basically it pushed too hard against that, and then just the whole thing snapped. But honestly, I feel like if this wasn't even there, it would have snapped anyway. So anyway, this is something I do want to customize. A bunch of you guys, a bunch of the people that were on Instagram were nice enough to give me some tips as to how I could potentially fix that. It just adds a step to a customization that I wanted to do that was probably going to take me forever to get to anyway, and now it's just going to take me even longer because I either have to just glue this thing on here and say, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just not going to be able to move his leg, or I got to find some kind of fix that adds posability to that. Probably just going to glue it. Probably just not even going to actually get to it ever. But anyway, up first, we have Brian from Glen Burnie, Maryland. Brian sent in a couple of things here. Right up front, we've got the 2002 Toynami. Look at that. I didn't know about that. I didn't know they were magnetic. That's news to me. Are they both? Oh, no! I didn't know these guys had magnet feet. They're like little Starcom guys now. So anyway, what are these coins made out of that they're actually... I don't know. You tell me. You tell me which metals will actually accept magnets. I only know the generic one called metal. These are 2002. The toy company's called Toynami. These are Robotech iMen. Max Sterling and the VF1J. Reminds me of Mini-Mates, obviously. I have some Mini-Mates. I never really collected them that much, but I do have a few. This, I don't know, I don't love the proportions on this, but this guy's adorable. I don't even care if he doesn't transform. I really like this guy. I wish he had knees and elbows like Mini-Mates do, but that guy's really, really cool. It's sort of a precursor to Super 7's 5POA line. Those guys are fun. And then over here, this is, I didn't even know this thing existed, but so I collected G1 stuff back in the day, and then I got away from Transformers for a very long time. So, Beast Wars and Beast Machines and Cybertron and whatever, I skipped all that stuff. So this is a Build-A-Figure for Transformers, which I didn't even know there was one. This is 2006 Beast Wars 10th anniversary Build-A-Figure. This guy's name is Transmutate, or he is a Transmutate from what I understand. Missing the head and the torso, so we've got legs, lower abdomen, and then the two arms here. It's very creepy if you see a picture of it all put together. So I'm not sure. I I may have to track these parts down. They may become trade bait, I'm not sure. It's not the most aesthetically interesting figure, but it is an oddity. So I do think that was really neat to learn about that. So thanks to Brian for showing me something I hadn't heard of or seen before. And then lastly, we've got 3 of the 4. I think these are opened. These were Hardee's. If you're not familiar with Hardee's, it is a fast food chain that sells roast beef sandwiches and all kinds of other stuff. And this was a fast food premium. I don't know if I'm putting these guys in the right place. From 1995. We're going way back in the day here. And these snap on like this. And Storm goes here. And they're fighting. And this is somebody called Fantasia, I guess. It was the 90s. There was all kinds of crazy stuff happening. I've never heard of her. I don't know where her arms are, if she's supposed to have arms. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if Storm is supposed to be punching her in the face like that. So we've got... Oh, no, this says Roy Rogers. I looked these up on eBay, and they said Hardee's. So maybe it was Roy Rogers and Hardee's. Maybe they're owned by the same company. I don't know. But so we've got a card here. Ooh, a COA, Certificate of Authenticity. Classy stuff. All right, created exclusively for Roy Rogers. What do I know? What is that guy on eBay now? This is Fantasia with a Z versus Storm, and she doesn't have arms in this picture either, so maybe that's a thing. And like I said, there's 4 sets. This is the second set. We've got Rogue and Avalanche, and then over here we've got... This is Wolverine and the Blob, and their bases all fit together somehow here, so that once you have all 4 pieces, they would connect just to make this little like diorama display scene. So I remember having a couple of these back in the day. I don't think I got them at Roy Rogers, but whatever, that's where they came from. It's fine. Anyway, cool stuff there. Thank you to Brian for sending those things in. Next up is Toby from Middletown, Connecticut. Toby sent in a very large box, and I appreciate all the stuff that he sent in. He said he was in the process of moving one place to the other, couldn't take all the stuff, wanted to hand some stuff over to a new home, and I had to edit it down. There was just so much stuff in this box. Some of it was broken, some of it was pieces, some of it, a lot of it was well loved, so I just sort of grabbed the pieces that I thought were most applicable here. Here we have and this is really funny because McDonald's just brought back their Changeables. This is a Changeable, still in the package. This is the Big Mac, I think. Set 3A, Macro Mac. So that's neat. I don't want to take it out of the package. I have a couple of these loose, but it's neat to be able to see it in the package. It's funny because everybody's chasing the new ones that just came out. We got Sunstreaker here. This was a Sunstreaker that, not this one specifically, I have mine specifically on the shelf over there, but this was one of the figures that really got me back into Transformers and sort of reset that bar for what modern Transformers could be. I always loved Sunstreaker, so once this figure in this era hit, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm back in. We've got animated Blur here. I love this figure too. Mine, the first one I had, his little heels, both of the heels were busted off here, and he didn't have his hood / ornament. He turns into a blue car that's looks just like the Mach 5, and that's what I really dig about it. We've got Scourge. He's another great figure. This one's feeling a little dated. It's got some really great features. His weapons store in his wings. I mean, I just love the wings that he has them at all. They're very bird-like wings on his back. Cool stuff there. From that same era, we've got Cup. I'm not even going to try to transform this thing. This is another one that I do already have. His gun is not here. Might have been in the bin of stuff, but I would really have to work on how to transform it. We've got another Blur here. This was another one that I was like, okay, these are real figures now. The alt modes look cool. The robot modes look cool. Weapon storage. This one as both Blur and Drift. I dug both. I have both of those on my shelf right now. And then we've got some G1 stuff in here, which was pretty neat to see in the box. We got G1 Mirage here, who still has his chrome feet. I mean, chrome feet. He's still got his rubber tires, which is amazing. I mean, the only problem this guy really has is, ooh, he's tight. Nice. He's got some yellowing. I didn't check the date on this to see if it's actually, what do we got here? Yeah, no, it's legit. No, yeah, 8082. Still got the Takara on there, so that's cool. And then we've got Hound, who looks like he's all here. He's not all here, but really good shape, actually. You know, decals are still on, windshield is still there. And yeah, so that's a good one. Snarl. I can't remember if this is Snarl or Slag. I think this is Snarl. It's got that loose jaw that they always have. It feels a little dry, but you know, otherwise he's in great shape. Usually the legs break off this thing, and the clear plastic just gets all yellowed and faded and stuff. Oh, we've got Cyclonus. This is the alternate color. I think this came in the 2-pack with Hot Rod. I definitely have that animated colored Hot Rod as well. Shockwave I don't really collect much of, but I saw this one in the bin, the box, and I was like, hey, that's actually a really cool looking Shockwave. I don't know if this one's from an maybe Prime. I don't know. I didn't look up to see which era this is from, and I don't know if he's missing like something on top of his cannon here, if it's just the bullet that goes in there to launch it. But I was really impressed with this Shockwave design. I like that one a lot. A couple other little bits and stuff. There were some My Little Pony figures in there. I just grabbed a couple here that I thought were particularly interesting. I love this. I'm not a big fan of Creo stuff, so if you have Creo, you could probably just hang on to that or send it to somebody else. But these two I really did like, Soundwave and Megatron. I love this adorable, angry little Megatron. And then Soundwave is just Soundwave, and I wish he came with a tiny little Laserbeak or Ravage or something, but those are cool, and I'll definitely hang on to the two of them. Over here we've got Playmates Starship Enterprise, the 1701D from Next Generation. This was during that era that Galoob was doing Action Fleet stuff for Star Wars and whatever else, and you know, obviously nothing's to scale here. I think it came with, you know, Picard and somebody else, and you can sit him in the bridge there, but as I recall, yeah, saucer section separates, so that's neat too. We got a Batman figure. I think this is Brave, and no, this is from The Batman, I believe. Translucent somebody, and then teeny tiny little Batman. I think it was in a recent video. I don't know if it was last booth video, but I love having tiny stuff. Yeah, I love having all scales of things, so you can do all kinds of crazy shots, and you know, put Godzilla in here, and you have a tiny Batman, so you really get the scale of those things. Anyway, bunch of stuff. Like I said, I had to compress it down. This is already running long as it is. If I had put the whole bin in here, it would have been like half an hour of just this stuff, which would have been cool. But I got to get everybody in here. So anyway, thank you very much to Toby for all this fun stuff. Next up is Sal from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Sal sent in a couple of things here. Well, we got Blight, who I love this figure. I think I've got at least one of these. I don't think I have two. Well, I have two. Love this guy so much. Everything you could possibly want in an action figure. Maybe just a little bit more articulation would be nice, but translucent body, skull rib cage in here, skeleton rib cage. You got a skull head, and then this dude is just totally glow in the dark. And or these parts are. Love that. In fact, this is really what Scareglow should look like. If you look at some of the early paintings, the posters that Scareglow appears in, some of the comics and stuff, he's not supposed to be like bones painted on his surface. That's what they had to do for the figure, because they couldn't do what he actually looked like. He's supposed to be a translucent ghost with bones on the inside, and it's killing me that no one is making him that way. Somebody needs to take that chance, whether it's Super 7 or Mattel, and just make a translucent figure with bones on the inside and a cape and a halberd, and there you go. Glow in the dark. That guy would be awesome. Purple, black, sort of a ombre kind of thing, translucent with bones inside. Make that happen. This is all his gear. This is all Blight's gear over here. I don't know how to set it. I'm not going to set that up right now. But then he also included two Predators here. A fully cloaked version, and then I believe this is the glow-in-the-dark version. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I definitely have the full-size NECA version of this, and then one that's similar to this, but I actually dig these little guys. I didn't buy them when they actually first came out, and I immediately regretted it, but I'm digging these guys a lot now. I have to get all my little Predators together. I think I have quite a few of these now. Maybe have the Boba Sett take them out or something. Anyway, cool stuff there. Thanks, Sal. Next up is Frankie from Fort Lee, New Jersey. There's a bunch of stuff in here. This is the episode of a bunch of stuff, which, man, I appreciate, but I feel bad that I can't spend more time on each of these things here to really showcase some of this stuff. Frankie had been meaning to send in these Space Ghost coast-to-coast figures, including Moltar and Space Ghost, who they've, these are old figures. They're from 1999, and they have not necessarily held up great. Got a little bit of yellowing there. They're not, they belong to an older time, an older era, where articulation was a bit different. You weren't going to get your full 28 points of articulation or anything. But, that said, I'm looking at these now, and this is the first time I've ever actually seen these in person out of the package, and they're pretty spot on for, the look of the characters. And we've got all the accessories here as well. So we've got, this is our control panel. We've got piano, desk, and then some other miscellaneous accessories here. Mug, folded arms over here. I believe that's a chair. We've got Space Ghosts, note cards, and then some alternate hands. Very cool stuff there. I'm actually more impressed with this than I thought I was going to be, because I remember seeing these figures. I want to say I went to Wizard World back in 1998, and those figures were on display. And I thought, like, oh, I'm going to get them, and then I didn't get them, and then I hadn't seen them really in person for a very long time. So that's really neat. I'm digging those figures. I know I have the translucent Space Ghost as well. And then in here, we've got a whole batch of Metal Gear Solid figures from McFarlane, Solid Snake, and these are really good figures. I mean, especially for the era. I mean, the detail, the size, the paint treatment, sculpt, all that stuff. Lots and lots of cool accessories that work great with action figures today. So this is actually the Series 1 and Series 2. Series 2 had a build a Metal Gear Ray. Build a Metal Gear Ray figure, which, I mean, it wasn't huge. It was basically in scale with these figures here. This dude's leg is busted off. That's too bad. But they're actually really, really nice figures. I've never had the Series 2 pieces. I did have a complete set of Series 1. Vulcan Raven probably being my favorite, although the Ninja here, Raiden, is pretty darn cool. And I actually have a regular one, and then I have two different translucent ones, just because the color of the translucence is slightly different on the two. But that's cool, and there's a bunch of accessories here as well, and they look to have held up okay over the years, despite some of these joints and whatever breaking. So lots of cool stuff there. So thanks a lot to... Oh, I'm sorry, there's one more thing here. Where did it go? It got pushed into the back. I thought it got pushed into the back. It was actually still in the box. Frankie also included a knockoff, and he knew it was a knockoff, and he told me it was a knockoff, so I appreciate that. This is a knockoff Robotech Toy Story Woody, and he was like, hey, it's cool for it's still cool for posing, but be careful with the joints, because they're not going to hold up real great. And I mean, I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of people posting pictures of this guy on Instagram, and he is a lot of fun. He's got a lot of character, and so that'll be fun to throw in some of my photos there. I still want to get those model kits. Those look great. The Buzz and the Woody, they're like $35, something like that. Maybe even 40 at the Think Geek in my area, but I'll probably grab them eventually just because they look so good, and you don't even have to like paint them or anything. You get all the details. Anyway, thanks again, Frankie. Next up is Andrew. Andrew from the town of Gosport in Hampshire, England. That's Old Hampshire. I'm in New Hampshire, but, Hampshire represent either way. Andrew admitted that he'd had these figures sitting in a drawer for a very long time, so he wanted to send them along. He did apologize for the general condition because they had not been preserved in the best of conditions, but there is a pretty cool set of stuff here. So we do have I think these are Diamond collectibles, the Gatchaman figures, and yeah, they've... seen better days, missing an antenna, and the capes are a little weird. And, like you saw here, Mark's, or Ace, or whatever, his visor's coming down. But, I mean, the whole crew is here. Mark, Jason, or Dirk, Dirk Daring, depending on whether or not you were watching Gatchaman. Or actually, I don't. Ken. This is Ryu and Ken. And I watched Battle of the Planets, so I know their names better from that. But hey, we've covered all those histories, so if you haven't checked out our history of videos for Gatchaman and Battle of the Planets and everything else, check those out. But we got the whole squad here. And it's funny because these actually came in a little bit after I had just seen the whole set of figures at a toy show, and I didn't buy them on the first lap through the hall. And I was like, you know what? If I don't see anything else, I'll go back and get those in a bit. The price was just right. Maybe a little more than I wanted to pay. All right, let me start at the beginning. I saw these figures when they first came out back in the day, and I didn't love the poses, regardless of how accurate they were to the show. It's not the kind of figure I was really looking for. I wanted something that was a bit more posable. So these were a little bit disappointing to me back then. But then, my opinion had changed over the years. I'm like, all right, oh man, this is like, wow, this is really deteriorated. They're like greasy at this point. Yeah. Hey, it's the deterioration of the plastics and the weird chemical things that happen. Anyway, saw them back in the day, passed on them, saw them at the toy show and was like, yeah, you know what? I think I'll grab those. And then once I had made the decision to go back and get them, of course, they were already gone. Or at least like 2 of them were already gone. So that hurt. That stung a bit. So it was neat to get these in the mail and see the whole set here and at least get to take a look at them and say, you know what? Okay, so these are worth tracking down. I do want to get these in my collection in good condition eventually. This one's actually in really great shape. He's actually just fine. They are actually just fine. So I'll definitely have to track those down and see if I can salvage any of this stuff. Oh man, that feels so weird. Anyway, thank you very much to Andrew for sending those figures in. That's very cool stuff. I'm still a little creeped out by the way how wet that figure was. This is from, we got Adrian and Son from Brooklyn. They mentioned that this was Adrian and Son again in their letter, so they have definitely sent stuff in before. We have a peg hole. There it is. So we've got they are from Brooklyn, New York. They're fans of the translucent set, which I think we did a video way back in the day. I obviously have more figures now than I did then. Probably time to at least post a picture or something on Instagram at some point. But this is translucent, obviously. Invisible John Jones, the Martian Manhunter from DC Collectibles. A good line, not a great line. You can see me like fiddling with the articulation here because it's the right size that you think you should have all the articulation you need. It just isn't quite there. So you've got your shoulders and your elbows, but no bicep. You've got no waist, no crunch. Head turns, hips, but no thigh. You've got calves, and it's just I'm trying to get things lined up so this guy will actually stand properly. But it is a bit wonky. But I do have a couple other figures from this line, and they are in translucence. I think there's a Flash and a Green Lantern, Blue Beetle, something like that. So I've almost got I've got a translucent set, but I've almost got an entirely translucent Justice League as well. So that's a cool piece, something I didn't know existed. So that's very cool. So thank you to Adrian and Son from Brooklyn. And then last but certainly not least, we have another Andrew from Granite City, Illinois. Andrew sent in, this is a MODOK Build-A-Figure piece. I don't know off the top of my head. I definitely need this arm. I just don't know how much closer this puts me to finishing MODOK. I definitely still need some more pieces. I don't know. Like I said, off the top of my head, which pieces I am missing. And then also in this bag, we have a Die Rugger 15 or Voltron 1 that has seen better days. Busted up here, missing his hands, missing his propellers. Just pretty rough. All right, that's rough. But hey, it's kind of here. I don't think I have any. I might have the ship on the front here. I don't think I have any pieces to add to that. And then also, this is a crazy piece. This is a Lily Letty short-brimmed or short-visored Biker Scout from the vintage Star Wars line. Obviously, a little rough, but I've never actually owned a Lily Letty piece, so that's neat. Lily Letty was, I think, Mexican, or at least international distributor, manufacturer of stuff. And so there's some variants that are exclusive to that particular manufacturer. And then, you can see that the date stamps are a little different back here. It doesn't say, it just says LFL 1983. you don't have that Kenner stamp anywhere either. So a little loose, paint missing, obviously, a little discolored, but still very cool. And then lastly, Boba Fett. Really nice Boba Fett. Boba Fett number 488 in the Boba Sett. Super tight. Very nice. Taiwan. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Whoops. Just a gorgeous piece. And hey, you know what? We're like, I'm recording this, and we're like, my time, Eastern time zone, we're like 5 hours away. I'm shooting at this at like 1 o'clock in the morning. We're like 5 hours away from the debut of The Mandalorian, which I will be checking out tomorrow morning, so that I don't get spoiled at any point. Anyway, thank you to Andrew. So that's thanks again to Brian, Toby, Sal, Frankie, Andrew, Adrian and Son, and Andrew again, different Andrew. Thank you for watching this and all our videos. Hit like, hit subscribe. Check out our Patreon if you're in the position to help the channel grow. Thank you very much. Later.